Alright, so the first trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds was recently showcased in the last state of play a few days ago. And in this video, I want to discuss some of my thoughts and concerns on what I think are some of the most important gameplay mechanics coming to Wilds. I'm not going to talk about the new characters and monsters and environments and stuff like that because I don't want to repeat something you've probably already heard multiple times from other YouTubers, so I apologize for that. What I will talk about are some of the things mentioned in the PlayStation blog and the Monster Hunter Wilds website because I don't think the trailer did a really good job showcasing the things mentioned there, and really the stuff in the web pages don't explain stuff well either, which we'll get to later. But anyways, let's begin with my thoughts. The first thing I want to talk about is our new mounts, the Secrets, or however you want to pronounce that. Here's the description of it on the website. It says here that it'll automatically guide you to your current objective or any location on the map, which is cool and all if you want to free up your hands and relax as you travel to your destination, right? But if you remember, we had a very similar thing back in Iceborne and it was kinda scuffed. Like, the mount was slow, it would take weird paths sometimes, and like if there was another monster in the way, then the mount would just malfunction completely. So hopefully this sort of auto-steering thing has been drastically improved since Iceborne, or else it'll just be better to ride your Secret like a Palamute, which I assume we'll be able to control the Secret ourselves. Now in the trailer you could see the hunter getting scooped up and recovered by the Secrets after getting sent flying, sorta similar to how Wirefall works in Rise and Sunbreak. I'm gonna be honest, I think the whole controversy with the Wirefall mechanic is kinda overblown. I don't think it's as overpowered as people think, and really it probably gets people carded more than anything. So to me, I don't really care if a similar mechanic returns in Wilds. Another thing your mount can do is pick you up while your weapon is unsheathed. And I think if timed well, this kind of thing can skip some of the slower sheathing animations of certain weapons, which may make escaping certain monster attacks easier. And also making the quick sheath skill basically obsolete outside of longsword if they decide to keep the EI's sheathing attacks. Another way this mechanic could be useful for is cancelling the very long animations of certain moves, like the Gunlance's Wyvern Fire or the Charge Blade's Elemental Discharges, making those attacks much safer and potentially increasing your DPS. However, it isn't clear if such a thing is possible yet, since in the footage we do have of this mechanic, the hunter is in neutral position and not attacking, so we'll have to wait and see. Now, while mounted, you can actually attack with your weapon now, which is nice to see here. Here the hunter is shooting with a heavy bowgun, and we have proper dismounting attacks. The greatsword dismount attack shown here is something new. Although, whether or not you can attack with melee weapons while staying mounted remains to be seen. Probably won't be optimal to spam mounted attacks, but it could make for good meme speedruns where you only attack while mounted. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, which is sort of related to the Secrets but not really, is the ability to carry a second weapon out on a hunt. While this may seem really cool in concept, unfortunately I'm really skeptical why this would even be useful. Like, unless your entire build and armor skills can change, I don't find this mechanic to be at all versatile. And this is because most weapons in Monster Hunter don't synergize very well in the sense that the armor skills each weapon wants is different. For example, let's say you want to bring a greatsword and a heavy bowgun like in the trailer. Greatsword builds want the focus skill, right? So that they can charge their attacks faster. But for the heavy bowgun, focus is completely useless. On the other hand, the heavy bowgun wants to build for skills like ammo up, normal or pierce or spread ammo up, recall down, and so on. But to the greatsword, those are all useless skills. So it'll basically be impossible to make a build that optimizes both the greatsword and the heavy bowgun at the same time. You'll just get a subpar build for both weapons. Now it is confirmed that you are able to carry two of the same weapon type, but again, I don't see why you need two sword and shields, for example. I would suspect that since the environment is constantly changing, a large monster might change its elemental weaknesses mid-hunt. And in that situation, maybe it's beneficial to carry like a fire SNS and a water SNS, but again, we'll just have to wait and see about that. Otherwise, I feel like the best use for carrying 2 weapons is to main one weapon and carry a hunting horn as the other to just buff you and your teammates, which I think is overall bad for the hunting horn since it'll just be used for buffs and that's it. So I'm interested to see if they considered balancing this. Speaking of the hunting horn, I'm curious to see if they'll keep the new hunting horn style from Rise, or revert back to the older style from World. Seems like people on the internet are upset about the newer style, even though before there were only like 9 total hunting horn players back then. So let me know in the comments what you think about old versus new hunting horn. Now the third thing I want to discuss is probably the most confusing mechanic, and perhaps even the new signature mechanic to Wilds is Focus Mode. Let me just read the website description to you. Focus Mode allows you to aim your attacks and guard abilities. You can also use Focus Mode to pinpoint monster weaknesses, which can be targeted with special new attacks that will deal big damage. By making it easier to space yourself and aim your attacks during hunts, Focus Mode will make it even easier for players of all stripes to get in on the hunting action. What does this even mean? The only unambiguous thing I can grab from this is special attacks, which makes me think that this new focus mode is something similar to like hunting arts or silkbind attacks that involve some sort of stance change. Otherwise, almost everything else means nothing to me. Like, you're always able to aim and guard, you're always able to attack weak points for big damage, you're always able to space yourself, just use your eyes. But then they throw the word easier in there, and it makes me think that focus mode will involve some sort of auto-targeting. To me, that's kind of a shame, because one thing that makes Monster Hunter combat unique is that there is no auto-targeting in almost all cases, and that gives you full control on where you strike a monster and how you position yourself. Both of those concepts are very important to this game's combat. So auto-targeting would take away that freedom you have in combat and removes what makes Monster Hunter special. It's not gonna turn me away from this game, I'm still gonna put hundreds of hours into Wilds. It just wouldn't be a good direction for the series' combat for me. Now the last thing I want to talk about, and this isn't even mentioned at all, at least in the English translation of the website, is the return of a wounding mechanic. In the trailer, this is evident in this clip where parts of the monster are highlighted red, and on those highlighted parts you can see visible wounds. This can also be seen in one of the images in the blog post. Now this wounding mechanic seems to be very related to focus mode. Perhaps focus mode is what highlights these wounded body parts. Maybe focus mode attacks actually auto-target the wounded parts. We don't know because we don't have any clear explanation yet. We don't even know how to wound parts in the first place. I guess you can wound the part by continuously attacking that part, and that sort of creates your own weak points for focus mode attacks. Maybe to the Ninja Master Sword hind leg slashers, this would be amazing for them, but for me that's kinda lame unless the wounding mechanic is balanced well. But again, we'll just have to wait for more information on all of these mechanics, since this is all just speculation, right? I guess on June 7, during the Summer Game Fest, we'll be getting another trailer, so hopefully some things can be better explained, and hopefully we'll get some Sword and Shield gameplay because this is a Sword and Shield channel after all. Give me that content. Anyways, that'll be all for this video. I know there are some smaller gameplay details here and there, but for me they weren't really significant enough to mention. But if there's anything else you want to add, feel free to leave a comment down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.